Fix this. Make it shorter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Go ahead, do the thing. Canto 1, Chapter 2. The next text. What's the next text? Huh? 20. Yes, 20. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. So now what's on the screen? Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Translation: thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. That was pretty fast. Yesterday we're just getting free from ignorance and passion, and now we're... So it's stages. Purport in Bhagavad Gita 7.3, it is said that out of many thousands of ordinary men, one fortunate man endeavors for perfection in life. Mostly men are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus they are engaged always in lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep. Out of many such man-like animals, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following the prescribed duties. And out of many thousands of such persons who have thus attained success in human life, one may know scientifically about the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. In the same Bhagavad Gita, 1855, it is also said that scientific knowledge of Sri Krishna is understood only by the process of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. Paragraph. The very same thing is confirmed herein in the above words. No ordinary man, or even one who has attained success in human life, can know scientifically or perfectly the personality of God, and perfection of human life is attained when one can understand that he is not a product of matter, but is in fact spirit. And as soon as one understands that he has nothing to do with matter, he at once ceases his material hankering and becomes enlivened as a spiritual being. This attainment of success is possible when one is above the modes of passion and ignorance, or in other words, when one is actually a Brahmana by qualification. A Brahmana is the symbol of sattva guna, or the mode of goodness. In other words, who are not in the mode of goodness are either, and others who are not in the mode of goodness are either Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, or less than Shudras. The Brahminical stage is the highest stage of human life because of its good qualities. So, one cannot be a devotee unless one at least qualifies as a Brahmana. The devotee is already a Brahmana by action But that is not the end of it. As referred to above, such a Brahmana has to become a Vaishnava. In fact, to be actually in the transcendental stage, a pure Vaishnava is a liberated soul and is transcendental even to the position of a Brahmana. In the material stage, even a Brahmana is also a conditioned soul because, although in Brahminical stage, the conception of Brahman or transcendence is realized, scientific knowledge of the Supreme Lord is lacking. One has to surpass the Brahminical stage and reach the Vasudeva stage to understand the personality of Godhead Krishna. The science of the personality of Godhead is a subject matter for study by the postgraduate students in the spiritual line. Foolish men or men with a poor fund of knowledge do not understand the Supreme Lord, and they interpret Krishna according to their respective whims. In fact, however, the fact is, however, that one cannot understand the science of the personality of Godhead unless one is freed from the contamination of the material modes, even up to the stage of Brahmana. When a qualified Brahmana actually becomes a Vaishnava, in the enlivened state of liberation, he can know what is actually the personality of Godhead. So it's part of the progress or stages of bhakti. To know the personality of Godhead. There's many nice statements. One of them is from Bhagavad Gita. Just by understanding the divyam or transcendental nature of Krishna's janma and his activities, no more birth. Birth means affinity for matter. When there's affinity for matter, when matter awards a body. And that can go on indefinitely. Sometimes it's asked, is there a guarantee that at some point living entities are going to become liberated? No. No guarantee. There's not a guarantee. Indefinitely, living entities can be placed in next body, the next body, the next body, the next body, forever. As long as material creation, and when the creation is withdrawn, living entities are in a resting state, and then they again manifest and get another body. And so, what's the solution? The solution is termination of material existence to know Krishna. It's very simple. Okay, so we know Krishna, so no more birth, right? It's simple, but it's not cosmetic simple. So to know Krishna, then Shuddhasattva, because a Brahmana, which is the topmost position in the social occupations, knows Brahman, but they don't necessarily know Parabrahman. And the Brahmana does Brahminical duties, but those Brahminical duties are not necessarily Shuddha Bhakti. They're elevated, and they're to be worshipped, literally, not just figuratively, literally. Krishna worships the Brahmanas. Krishna respects the cows and the Brahmanas. And he advises us to do the same. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So they're to be respected. At the same time, this verse is helping one understand, helping us to understand Beyond the stage of Brahmana, beyond the stage of goodness is Shuddha Sattva. And so Shuddha Sattva, besides the definition, it means beyond even the mode of goodness or uncontaminated goodness, mode of goodness that isn't mixed with passion and ignorance. That was the previous verse. Those influences subside. And then what's there? Now, if you're not a Vaishnava, you've got a lot of answers to that one. There's that, the other different conceptions of, the position of moksha. Different ideas. And then shades of those different ideas. But to know Krishna is not shades of liberation. It's factual liberation. Factual liberation is unalloyed devotion. Or unalloyed devotion is both the means and the end. That's a clever statement. What does it mean? Bhakti is the means. Shuddha Bhakti is the perfectional means. And then Shuddha Bhakti is the perfectional end. Like what happens after Shuddha Bhakti? Shuddha Bhakti. Forever. And Purnarjanma. And that Shuddha Bhakti is the qualification for understanding Krishna, which is the qualification for Purnarjanma. Na. And in that state, one in this life, until the body drops, one continues rendering service. And then when the body drops, the soul continues rendering service without a physical body. So the physical body is an encumbrance, but at the same time, it can be used. In fact, it must be used, because if it's not used in service to Krishna, it's going to be used in something else. So right up until the last breath, unalloyed devotional service carries one, by consciousness, carries one to eternal position, which means in the interim, there's identification with our spiritual identity as a spark, and then further and further, depending upon the stage of bhakti that one has attained, that is to say, an understanding of one's spiritual form and spiritual qualities and spiritual relationship with the Supreme Spirit. And many things may become revealed depending upon the aptitude of the servitor. But let's go back, and the unalloyed devotional service is speaking in principle, aside from what it looks like in different stages of unfolding. It's a principle. Where there isn't some other shelter, there's only one shelter. Mami kam sharanam. There's only one shelter. And the one who has only one shelter, they can do a variety of things. And devotees very well do a variety of things in this world, but they're not contaminated by this world, by their being in this world, because of that consciousness of dedication to Krishna, and therefore seeing everything in this world as a manifestation of Krishna's meant to be used in service to Krishna. It's a very nice saying. It's a Prabhupada way of distilling things down to little short statements. In all of creation, there are two things: Krishna and Krishnas. And there's no third thing in the whole creation of God. Then pause. There's no such thing as void in the creation of God, because void means the absence of God, or Krishna or Krishnas. There's no such thing. It's either Krishna or Krishnas. And if we see Krishna and Krishnas, what do? You take Krishnas and engage in the service of Krishna, because it's his. And that means, the implication is, our position is, the soul's position is, the servant of. It's really simple. Principle-wise, it's very simple. And to me, why is that difficult? Because we're attached to something else. We're attached to being the so-called enjoyer of that, which is Krishna's. We become implicated by being thieves. We're punished. Material bodies is that punishment. And with the punishment comes Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, like it or not. So letting go of that disposition to be the enjoyer of Krishna's, that's at the root. Separate enjoyment, desire, is at the root. Ignorance is the impetus for a separate desire. There's no such thing. To think there is ignorance. And influenced by ignorance, we suffer. We don't like to suffer. We like to enjoy. But our definition of enjoyment is a source of suffering. We're not attached to suffering, we're attached to the source of suffering. And so it takes some time. The purification takes some time. And the purification method, bhakti. The essence of bhakti, hearing and chanting, and then following those two, the other 7, but starting with hearing and chanting. So that we emphasize hearing and chanting. Then comes, our involvement in matter. Many persons are not brahmacharis and sannyasis. They're grihastas. And grihastas have some desire, and they also have some responsibility because of those desires. And so how to live one's life, it's not a matter of so much for Krishna and so much for me. It's a matter of spiritualizing that which is on the material side, or apparently separate from Krishna's side, and how to dedicate those things, money earning and and everything that money buys, involvement with those things, and not think of them as mine. My house, my car, my bank balance, my taxes, I and mine. But, it's Krishna's. And therefore, one is frugal and one is conscious that as I accept contact with that which is Krishna's, it's Krishna's. And engage Krishna's in Krishna's service. Whatever the label is, or the particular manifestation of Krishna's might be. And that it's a way of life. Bhakti is a way of life. And when the hearing and chanting nourishes that way of life, the bhakti way of life, modes of the previous verse, modes of ignorance and passion subside. Then one becomes situated in goodness. Then this verse begins, one situated in goodness, one can then approach transcendence, and in transcendence, one can know who Krishna actually is. Which the implication is, until then, we don't actually know what Krishna is. We have some idea, but actually know is not available to us yet. And when it's available, then we can know. There's reference here to chapter 7. There's also nice references in chapter 13. It's a nice chapter where knowledge and the object of knowledge and the process of knowledge, they're defined. Very simple. Knowledge means, Krishna says, to know Prakriti and the living entity and the controller both. And anything other than that I consider ignorance. Exclamation point. So doing the things that living entities do in Prakriti with the understanding there's a controller of both, that's knowledge. And from earlier Bhagavad Gita, one who's situated in transcendental knowledge is like a fire that burns the reaction to all work in the world. Work in the world means karma. And with karma, good or bad, then there's good or bad. Action, reaction, and bondage to even good or bad or mixed. And there's a principle of yoga in Bhagavad Gita, how to become free from bondage. And that back to this verse, when one is freed from bondage, not just freedom of karma, but one can be situated in perfect knowledge of the controller of both and engage accordingly. And the person who is aware of both isn't lazy. They're not sitting silently. Now, there are times in the life of a pure devotee, they're reflective and they're doing that type of activity. And otherwise, the active senses and the knowledge-acquiring senses are all 10, plus the mind, are meant to be engaged in service, which is activity. I mean, the picture is nice. The problem is when we do activity, the tendency is I'm the enjoyer. Even nice devotees, I'm at the center. And self-examining, very few people get it. But for the most part, that's what we do. We're at the center. The frame of reference is I, me, and mine. And how am I feeling and how am I enjoying and something. It may extend to our family members. How are we doing? And then the concentric circles may go out and go out and go out. But it's still, I'm at the center. Not Krishna's at the center. And when pure devotion awakens, then we can know Krishna. We can know all things in relation to Krishna. And the lens is altogether different. Therefore, the necessity of bhakti, the necessity of scripture that tells us what's what. So at least we can realign our misunderstanding with proper understanding, at least conceptually. And then, teaching, and then there's teachers that carry that potency and set the example and can pass on that vision to others just because that's what teachers do. Qualified teachers do. So we need good teachers. We need to then become good students under the care of a good teacher, and then become a good teacher because you become a good student from a good teacher. And we just and repeat and then continue. Scholarship doesn't work. It gets some light as opposed to lots of darkness. But to know the source of everything as the Supreme Person with form and qualities and pastimes and loving dealings, it's notional. It's conceptual at best. And otherwise, it's a misinterpretation, and that's as Prabhupada would say, and this is going on. Who can say how many lifetimes we've been at this program? And here we are, after who knows how many lifetimes, and we're at least we have the opportunity, direct contact with the cyclic succession from a perfected person. That's gold. You know, you struck it rich. And then, you know, to catch up to that gift that's been given through the gratitude of the gift that's been given, and we'll be more grateful to recognize what the gift is. And with that gratitude of recognition of what the gift is, then what do? You don't just say thank you. You say thank you. But more than say thank you, you live your life accordingly. That's the happiness that the giver of the gift wants, the receiver of the gift. And then the receiver of that gift that becomes genuinely happy wants to give the happiness to others and so forth. The propagation of the message of pure devotion by being happy, by being transcendentally enlivened, and then by behavior as well as by one's words, share with others. There's a lot of suffering, and the suffering is due to ignorance. There's a lot of ignorance, very little knowledge. And try to give knowledge to people who are ignorant, it's tough. They don't want it, or they think they already know, or it just bounces. It's hard. It's not easy. It's okay. We do it anyways, because that's what we're enjoined to do. And this first canto of Bhagavatam is fantastic. You know, how many times can you read the first canto of Bhagavatam and feel, okay, now I understand it all? So read it again and read it again, discuss it in your circles of reading and discussing. Let's go back to the verse and we'll end. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yoga taha bhagavat tattva vijnanam bhakta sangasya jayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So in the world, but not of the world. In material contact, because we don't zipper ourselves out of material contact. There's no such thing. But in the world, but not free from material contamination. What's the antidote? One who has become infected by COVID-19, some injection, some medication, something. So what's the medicine for material infection? Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. And then one can be in the world but not of the world. But we are encouraged to strive for Krishna's mercy, coming to the stage of Shuddha Bhakti. And practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. The cultivation of pure devotional service. No fruitive, no speculative tendencies, please. Only one thing, really, only one thing. Krishna should be pleased. Mami kam sharanam. And cultivate it. Recognizing I'm not there yet, that's okay. Continue cultivating. And as you receive, you share with others. You're going to share anyways because of your behavior and your speech, but consciously share with others. And that's purification. It's not pride. It can be pride, but it's meant to be further purification. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo.
Thank you so much for coming here. I thought it was only once a year that you come, but Prabhu just told me that you actually come twice a year. So thank you so much.
Krishna's mercy.
We're very, very fortunate, I feel, especially during these times, like having a Bhagavatam class in the morning. I almost didn't come today, but Prabhu reminded me that, this is rare opportunity to have a association of a sadhu who's really pure in heart. He can transmit whatever he has to us. So make an effort. I said, okay,
Thank you,
Krishna. So thank you.
Thank you for reminding her.
So this verse, I just want to share how Prabhupada explains in the purport that it's out of millions among thousands among men, one come to this platform of bhakti. And even those, I guess, who are perfected in life, it's very rare for us to come to this. And it's only by association I feel that I'm making any kind of progress. Thanks to Lalita Madha Mataji and Saranga Prabhu, who's constantly reminding me that, all you have to do is serve Krishna. You have deities at home. That's all you have to do. There's nothing else. And chant Hare Krishna. So thank you both for this beautiful opportunity to come together all the time. Even though we're a very small community, we feel we're very connected because everybody's reminding each other, oh, how is your chanting? What are you reading? What is going on in your life? So I'm very grateful.
In big communities, there's a tendency for the absence of that. And for many reasons, personalism works well in small communities. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. So 2 questions I have. So yesterday when we were going through the verse, that was Ruchi, the stage.
Yes.
So
yes.
is this Asakti?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then one statement you made, a Prabhupada statement, that there are only 2 things, Krishna and Krishnas, and there's nothing called void, right? So the Buddhists,
they have a different idea.
Yeah, so they
no, all there is void, and there's nothing that's real.
Void. So where do they go? Like, what is their
destination?
Destination.
Huh? Well, so where's nirvana? By definition, nirvana means near vana. Near means not. Vana means forest. They're out of the woods of material existence. So where is that? By their definition is there isn't. All there is nothingness. So, what's the destination? The explanation that's given is the river Viraja, which is neither here nor there. But it's not a place to stay. So guess what? Yeah. Anything else?
Just quickly, in the purport, I saw it says that versus success. What is that success is talking about?
Success is to know Krishna. and pure through the medium of pure devotion to know Krishna. That's success.
Persons who have attained success in human life, one may know scientifically about the personality of Krishna.
That's success. The bell rings. Yay.
Yeah, now, this success, to maintain that success that she's talking about, because sometimes, like you said,
It's the medium of shelter, and the medium of shelter means service. So it's eternal service to an object from the subject to the object that are eternal, and the medium is also eternal. Then you can go there and stay there, like going to the moon. You can't go and stay there even if they go. It's just all So or attain anything in the material realm. There's no shelter. It's unstable. It's impermanent. It appears to be, but it's not. So there's an eternal realm. And what do you do there? You do eternal activities. Eternal. You don't get tired because you don't have a material body.
I think this is why Prabhupada said that we should get out of this life and try to, in this birth, don't postpone it for next.
Yeah. Okay. You have something?
Yes,
Yes.
Maharajas from yesterday.
From yesterday.
Yeah. So we were talking about normally we heard that we stayed in the anartha nivritti, the clearing stage, for a long time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know when these residues,
When does
the residues, the remnants of this material contamination
finish?
finish? Is it in
Bhava stage.
In the bhava stage. So in asakti, it's still there.
Yes.
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 Yes. Just wanted to.
That answer comes from Madhurya Kandambini.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the bhava stage
It's not there.
gone. And then when the bhava stage matures, it's prema.
Prema,
But
yes.
it's gone in the bhava stage,
Mm-hmm.
material.